For the nearly 4 million slaves, the Emancipation Proclamation was a symbol of hope. It confirmed their belief that the war should always have been a war for the, not to preserve the Union, but a war to free the slaves.
What you're seeing is really rare. It's always in a housing, but it's in process of being prepared for the 150th anniversary exhibit. Because it's a double-sided document, we can't show all pages at once. When it does go on exhibit, we alternate pages in order to limit light exposure. We know that it's light damaged. In order to preserve it for the future, we significantly limit the light exposure to just a couple of days, a few days a year.
The final proclamation didn't free any single slave immediately, only applied to the Confederate States where the federal government didn't have the authority to enforce the law. What it did do, it brought a moral cost to the war.
The Emancipation Proclamation was written on a machine-made paper, which is typical of the Industrial Revolution. It was just 2 pieces of paper that were put together and folded in half. The piece of paper folded in half is called a folio. And so now we have 8 sides to write on. Holes were punched near the fold on the left margin, and through these holes they threaded ribbon. At some time in their past, they were taken apart. A very similar document is the Preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, which was signed in September 1862. This one is still intact. The ribbon comes back through almost before the last page and then is secured by the presidential seal.
Last year, when the Emancipation Proclamation was on display at the Henry Ford Museum, thousands of people came to see the document, and the museum stayed open for 36 hours. People waited throughout the night to see the document.
Here comes the freedom train, you'd better hurry down.
In 1947, the Emancipation Proclamation was shown all across the country.
Inside the freedom train, you'll find a precious frame.
One individual who viewed the Emancipation Proclamation was Sally Ficklin, 88 years old. She was 4 years old at the time that the document was issued. She was one of the few formerly enslaved persons who viewed the document.
Behind the original is a little piece of paper with an alkaline reserve in it. If the document or the media generates any kind of acid, then they will migrate to the alkaline material. Okay, so now I'm just going to sandwich the document between 2 pieces of mylar, which is inert, and this will add a significant layer of protection, both from handling and dimensional support. So I'll seal all 4 sides, which will create the encapsulation, and that makes a micro environment in here. So this is the frame that the document lives in year-round. And then that frame is boxed, so it's technically in dark storage for almost most of the year.
While the Emancipation Proclamation didn't end slavery, it did pave the way for the ratification of the 13th Amendment, which ultimately abolished slavery in the country. It ranks up with the Declaration of Independence and other documents, important documents in U.S. history.